WAU mid-year last year, and one of the presentations came in. The lady handed out fresh chocolate chip cookies. So out of the goodness of my heart, I made you fresh chocolate chip cookies. So maybe you'll remember something from my presentation. So I'm going to pass it around so you guys all have one. So I want to start off with a question. What is pretreatment? Now, if you answer the question, I have some fun little gags for you guys. There's a thing of poop. There's a keychain with a little poop guy on it, and there's even one that will change color when you hold it to different colors. There's a rubber ducky. There's this simple guy, and there's even a ring. These are some of the things we give out when we get tours and when we do an open house for our city council. So, can anybody tell me what is pretreatment? Raise a hand. I know there's at least one or two people in here that know. I used to have trainings before, and I'm looking at one of them right now. So, anybody give me an answer? Nobody? You guys don't want? Some of these will play gag on somebody at work. Sure? Okay. Juan, go ahead.
You keep the bad stuff out of your system before it gets in and gets to your plant.
It is, and that's by tracking not domestic, but more of commercial and industrial. You go ahead and take the out something in there. The next question is where can you find a term for pretreatment from EPA? Might not be something that's so anybody knows. Anybody have a guess at all? You can Google it if you really want to. I'll give you like 30 seconds to Google it up, see where the term for pretreatment is. Okay, pretreatment is found in 40 CFR 403.3. If you really want to go read it, long and in depth, that's how EPA works. When they do their regs, you kind of have to read between the lines, you say, skip over every other word and figure out what it means. So their term is basically what Juan said, you got to make sure they're not putting stuff down the drain, these commercial industries. And then there are 5 objectives for pretreatment. I'm going to give, the next slide gives the letters of each, and you guys can kind of guess. And as I said, you guys will be able to get a prize if you guess an answer. So these are the letters that we're going to look at, the 5 objectives. So S, E, I, P, and R. And has a lot to do with collections and other items like that. So, does anybody know what the letter S stands for? Not sewer, but no. It ends with a Y. No. Had an S-A. Who said safety? You get a prize. And I didn't see who actually wrote their name, so I thought I had to look who was it. Maybe this will keep everybody awake too. Yep. So we want the safety of, if you wouldn't mind, would somebody raise their hand and you go get it for me? Or I really would like my stuff too today. Let me go over to safety. Is to prevent introduction of pollutants that could cause problem with the operators and the environment, you know, just like everybody else, when anybody from Pretreatment goes out there, they should be checking those lines, checking them out before the top of it, so that there's nothing that will hurt them as well. Our next one is E. I kind of gave you a hint by the last statement. Thank you. So, who said it first? I will let you can have two people that said it. So we want to protect the environment. If there's two on the road, two people, they're more than welcome to take one. Our next one is I. Almost. When you have something coming down to the pipe and you have a problem either in the collection system or at the treatment plant, what do we call that? Interference. Thank you. Our next one is P. So if that pollutant goes through the collection system and goes through the plant, what do we say what happens if it goes all the way through? Pass through. Thank you very much. And our last one is R. And this is kind of there's two words that go with this. So in Pretreatment, we want to make sure that we have ways that we can, all the eggs that come through, we have sludge. What do we do with sludge and the biosolids? We want to make it so that it, say that a bit louder. Reclaim, recycle, reuse. That works. I think it was somebody on the back row that said reclaim. So my next question is, where are the rules and regulations for pretreatment found? Say it really loud because I can't hear it very well. Give you a hint, it's in the 40 CFR reg. 403 point, it's not 3, it's a couple numbers down. Keep on going. Keep on going. Up a little bit. Who said 8? You got it. That is where everything we do. See, I want you to get some stuff here. Everything that we do is found in the 403.8 reg. There are some, we have federal, state, and local things that we have to do. So on the federal level, that we have to refer back to the 403.8 reg. And then for the local level, it is the state rule, the R317-8-8. And they implement everything from the federal. And then we have to go back for local entities. We have to look at our facility permits. We have to look at our sewer ordinance. And then we have our pretreatment ordinance and our program. So there's some additional laws that kind of apply with pretreatment. And these are some other ones that there is. When we have analytical methods, we have to follow those. They are found in the 40 CFR Part 136. And when you pull a sample, if anybody actually works at a sewer plant, you know, there's certain ways you're supposed to pull samples, there's certain ways you're supposed to preserve a sample, there's a whole list of how you're supposed to, the holding times and everything, we have to follow those. Then we have our biosolids, and that is in 40 CFR 503. And then we all know about OSHA. Then we have a cross-media electronic reporting regulation and Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. And those are just to name a few. I mean, anything that deals with the plant, question lines, it all falls back to pretreatment. So there are some entities that have roles and responsibilities for implementing the National Pretreatment Program. Now I'm just going to take we have another little thing so you can get the prize by answering some questions. We have some letters here. There's three different areas where entities play a role in pretreatment. Okay, so we have letter A. Can anybody take a guess of what the A stands for? These are actually they're like can't think of the word at the moment. They are. I can't even think. I'm really sorry about that. Anyway, so the first one's like an authority. The first one's authority. It's authority. That's the first one. The next one is control authority, and then the last one is industrial user. So those are the people that play the roles in pretreatment. The approval authority, the state of Utah has been given the approval authority from EPA to run a pretreatment program, and then they go down and they give it to the local authority, so the local authorities become the control authority, and then the control authority oversees industrial users. So there's all sorts of fun stuff. So as a control authority, we have to go look and see what industries or commercial facilities, what they're actually discharging. We have to pull samples. We have to have our legal authority ready. We have to have local limits. And then our primary goal is just basically to prevent any pollutants to get into the system that will cause pass-through interference, cause injury to operators, and the environment as well. So an industrial user, what they need to do is that they have to know some of the pretreatment requirements as well. They need to know what they're supposed to do for their reporting. They need to know what they need to do for their sampling. And if they have a spill, a slug spill, how are they supposed to notify anybody? Let's see. So I kind of gave you a clue on the next one of who developed a pretreatment ordinance and programs. Anybody have a wild guess? Did I hear a control authority back there? It's okay. We'll give you a prize. And if you don't want it, you can give it to kids, nieces, or nephews, or give it to somebody at your plant. So the control authorities, we do our ordinance, our sewer ordinance, our pretreatment ordinance, our local limits, which leads us to our next section. Is how to manage our pretreatment program is by local limits. Local limits can seem overwhelming at first. There's a lot of things you have to do to get ready for them. One of the things I have done is I sample 8 locations twice a year. I've been doing it since sampling these locations since 2008. And recently we even added our primary and secondary digester so we can evaluate the heavy metals in the sludge. The best way to evaluate your area for your local limit is to look at areas that are with all the industries and the commercial areas in it, and then with just or domestic, and with them all, with a mix of certain areas, you got to look at all your trunk lines. So this is Payson City service area. I went and we do it right before at the plant where our east side comes in. We get that one, and we have our two bottom ones. So number 2 is where the east side, middle of town goes in, and then we have our west side with all the industries, all the domestic waste from the west side of the town. And then my 4th location has mostly the industries in it. And then we have number 6 is with our west side without our industries, and we have like before the industries right before it, and then we have them together before they go into our freeway. So, and then we have what I do at the plant, so we have it after the treatment filter, and then the primary and secondary digester. So the reason why I choose so many different locations is because even though it is an expense for the city, such as just this past June when I did it, it cost $4,500 to do all those locations. It will give an idea of what the BOD, the TSS, any of our local limits that we are currently have or that we have questions about, anything that the state's even looking at. We're trying to see where even in our service area where they are coming from. And so if we're having a problem, say we were doing good for so long and all of a sudden we're having an upset at the plant, then we start going sample some of the areas, we can kind of pinpoint where that's coming from. One of the ways I like to sample is not only have another person go out with me. We purchase a little portable pump, and from USA Blue Book, we just dip it down. No one's having to get in manholes. We're cutting out the confined space, putting that the hose down and pumping it into the bottle. It takes a little bit longer, but it is actually way safer. And some of our areas are very high traffic areas, so we don't really like to be having a big old pull down the bottom of the manhole trying to pull up a long pole and hitting cars as we do it, or them hitting us. Yeah, we're just doing graph samples at those locations.
Do you test for VOCs?
Say that again.
Do you test for VOC or any?
No, don't do those. We just do like the BOD, the TSS, the TDS, the nitrates, and then all of the metals. But we're not doing low-level mercury. We're just doing just the simple method. So my next question is for you guys is that you guys may know this, you may not. If you do, we'll get a prize. With the facility permit that you guys, every entity receives from the state, they have a term, how many years ago. With the procurement permits, we have the same stipulations. Some go from 1 year, some go up higher. I'm just wondering, do you guys know the maximum? You may not know. The maximum number of years a permit can go according to the federal regs. I kind of hear there are a couple answers. I only heard 3. What was another answer? 5? 5 is the correct answer. That's the maximum that you can have a permit. Depending on when you give the industry a permit, or there's a compliance history, or a lot of different factors, depends on how long you give it. There's some places in Utah, they only give them a 1-year permit. Mine vary either 3 year or 5 year. It just depends on their compliance history, basically, for me. Let's see. With a pretreatment permit, we have things called fact sheets. Fact sheets are similar to what the state puts in the front of their, I don't know if they actually are sending them out anymore, but what it is show what and your reasons why you did what you did with the permit. When I first took over pretreatment, there was 4 permits. And I had no idea what the person did and why they did it. It was kind of like a guessing game. But But when you have a fact sheet, it actually will show your examples of why you only gave them a 3-year permit, why you gave them the limits you did, why you were making them sample for those pollutants, why they have to sample once a month, or why they have to sample once a year, or why they have to sample twice a year, or why they don't have it, why they have a 0 discharge permit. It will give you all that information in the fact sheet. There's a lot of people that don't agree with them, and my personal opinion is if you have a turnover or if you don't have a very good memory, or because you have a lot of other stuff going on, a fact sheet is always crucial. Another thing is because of the documentation it will give. I mean, you can put all the information in there and no one can second guess of what you did because you can have all your notes in there and it will kind of save your content, in my opinion. So what I do for my industry, when I give them a permit, I actually bind it together. I not only give them their permits, but I give them the fact sheet. It explains to them why I gave them what they did, where I came up with my numbers, what formulas I used if I used the combined waste treatment formula. And then I actually put in their copy of their, they have to fill out an additional user survey when they reapply for their permit. I put their copy in there, so I can say, well, refer back to what you gave me. That's why I gave you those parameters I did. Then I give them all their any type of report that they will have to submit to me. I give them a hard copy in the back. They can't say, well, I never received that. Actually, you did because I binded it together and I gave you the whole copy. I used to have the industries indicate that they read it. The state came to us all this last year and made us all take that out. And so the only signature we have in there is the superintendent of the sewer plant. That's what I do for my industry on that part. So, how often do you need to perform inspections on a facility? Does anybody know? Take a wild guess. What said once a year? You get a prize. I don't know where the little container is, but we can get you one. And it is 365 days. You can't go 366 because I did that one. I got in trouble by the state. It has to be 365 days. Your inspection and your sampling. So just if any of your people in pretreatment, you say, hey, yeah, I heard you have to do 365 days, or you get in trouble. So, and we all learn when we go along. So 365 days is how many days you can go. And at inspections, we look at if we are scheduling them or if we're doing them on demand, if they're causing us a problem or announced or unannounced. There's several types of inspections that we can do. And then, can anybody tell me, why do you think we do inspections as pretreatment? What was that? Protect the plant. We're also looking at, we can get your prize in a minute if you want. We're also looking at compliance for what if they're actually doing compliance for their permit. If they're actually sampling where they're supposed to be sampling. Did they change anything in their facility? Did they add in a line? Did they change where their alcohol is now? And there's so many things that you have to look at when you do an inspection. We have to look at all their reports that they do. Are they keeping copies of all the reports they're supposed to up to 5 years after their permit expires? Then we need to see all their sampling data. We need to review the reports. We need to determine if there's been any violations. And then also anything they turn into us, we need to determine if they're actually late. I review mine once every time they turn them in, just to make sure they're not late. We can solve it then instead of every year. I'm going to solve it when the problem happens. Let's see. And one of the things at inspections is that to educate the person that you're inspecting, that facility. If you want them to do something, just don't give them a piece of paper and expect they're going to know it. We need to educate the people that we oversee, that we're the control authority over. So when I do my inspections, if I need to give out them recruit information, I give them a little packet when I inspect restaurants or food establishments, I give them a packet. I have one separate for traps and one separate for interceptors. And what it has in it for me is that when they first come on, they have to fill out a questionnaire because they need to know what they have. They get this so that they can put it up their sink so their employees aren't putting stuff they're not supposed to put down the sink and causing issues for them first and then us. I give them information, and I'll show you this on the day too. A little packet of why we have this program, what's required of them. I also give them their reporting that they have to submit to me. And if they have a trap, I give them instructions of how they can clean the trap. If they don't want to have someone come in to clean it, here's some things. We can't put liquid waste in our city dumpsters. They have to be followed, so here's some steps how to do it. And I worked with the street department superintendent to find out exactly how he wants those food establishments, how he wants them to put that stuff into the garbage bins.
You permit school cafeterias, things like that?
No, I inspect them. I go inspect their recruitment interceptors, but I don't permit any of the restaurants or food establishments. It's just a yearly inspection. And the more you go out to them, and the more you're up front with them, the more friendlier they are. They see you come in, they're ready for it. So this is what that first look. Actually, it's not. This is something we give out. Actually, it is. Sorry, kind of backwards today. This is one of the things we give out into the theme, showing what you can and cannot put down the drain. And that is what the thing is, how to clean the grease trap. And this is just a little packet, what it has in there, what type of best management practices you should have. And so it just goes through, like, explaining why grease trap, how it actually works, how an interceptor works. So, I mean, some of them they switch off a lot, so they're not going to really understand how these things work. So just a little bit of education goes a long way. And this is what the form looks like that they have to fill out. And then when I do my review of my industries when they submit their reports, I have this little piece of paper I put each one of them. The reason I do this is so I don't forget to make sure I check everything that they did. Is it late? Is it on time? You know, actually, who received it? Sometimes they'll drop them off at our front office. So I put down that you dropped it off there. Who dropped it off? I'm putting down that I'm reviewing it. I'm putting down the date. I'm putting all the information, like if they're sampling correctly, and if they have a surcharge that they need to be billed for, and if they had a violation, and then if they have any flags when they're sampling analysis. I also review business licenses, and I have a good relationship with the business license person because we both work for the city. We feel like we're all part of a team. So we go in with, they are not allowed to receive a business license unless they have several people sign off on it, and Pretreatment is one of them. So I either inspect or, I mean, if it's just a business office, we know it's just a business office. That's going to be an easy one. Other ones, I go out and inspect them to make sure actually what they're doing, have them fill out questionnaires. They actually receive a business license packet with Pretreatment information in it so that they know what's going to be expected of them and what information they need to get back to me. Then this actually helps create an industrial waste survey, which is required by the federal regs. And it helps prevent businesses from discharging unwanted pollutants. This is what the information is that goes inside the business license packet, what it looks like. and the questionnaire that they have to fill out, and even the food establishment one, which I showed that I actually give out with grease trap packets as well. And then when I go to a facility, if I'm going to be going back there all the time, especially if it's a restaurant and an industrial user, I make my own blueprint of it, so I can place out how it looks like to me and what I have to go buy in order to go see this thing the device I need to inspect. Very simple the way I do it. I just do it on PowerPoint. Not real fancy, but I'll even say like where it has stairs or where I have to go buy, and then where the device is located. So this also works out great if, say, I was to ever leave my position at the city. Whoever came in, they can pull out that folder and say, okay, well this we can know where this grease trap, where it's located, or this interceptor is located, or where the alcohol location is for this industry. We know where it's at. We're not going to have to guess or act stupid when we go in that we don't know where anything is. Okay, one of the ways I track all my pretreatment stuff is through a program called Linko. It is expensive to use, but it actually helps a ton with putting all your information into one. I do things way different than most people because I have lots of different backups of how I do my stuff. I have my paper copies, then I have my electronic copies on my computer, and then I have the stuff that's on Linko. So there's 3 sources. So if anything ever had a glitch in it and it disappears, I have a backup somewhere. The Linko program is pretty cool because you can scan all your documents and you can link them right to it. It'll help you determine for violations added industry. And then there's even parts that you can do like write a permit and all that other stuff, but I don't use their permitting part. So one of the things I was asked to talk about is how to make dischargers play by the rules. Well, the one thing you have to do, which is always not very nice, after you educate them, you know that they know what they're supposed to be doing. You have to use a nice word of enforcement. But even though it's not a friendly word, it is your backbone, and you will have your legal authority, your pretreatment ordinance, your sewer ordinance, and your enforcement response plan to help you be able to go out there and make industries or food establishments play by the rules. There are penalties that it can be issued. There's actions that you can do to make the industry play by the rules. And to go into that, there's some lessons I learned from getting into pretreatment and some ways that I got some of the industries or food establishments to actually comply. But the first thing I'll talk about is the first lesson I learned is when I went out, is a smell. When I went did a grease interceptor inspection, I'm sorry, but they will smell worse than the headworks. They have that unique smell that will make your stomach churn. I don't know if many of you actually pull the lids in an interceptor, but they're not fun and they do not smell good. I learned that you do not pull it after lunch on a hot day. That's just something I don't do. I do it early in the morning. Then another thing is that I don't just use a hook to pull up the lids, those interceptor lids. They're heavy, and those hooks do not hook that small little thing. I just run on magnet. I use a big, easy lift to lift it up. It makes it tons easier. I know some other entities around the state use different type of magnets to pull them off, just because it's safer to use a magnet to pull those lids off. So not like your typical sewer manhole lid. Then SIU violations. When I took over pretreatment, I had an industry calls and say that they violated. Well, long story short, I hadn't been in pretreatment for very long, nor had I been at the sewer plant very long, and said, what am I supposed to do? An industry calls and said they have a violation. I got a real rude awakening of how all this stuff goes down. So I called a peer and asked him what I was supposed to do. Then I actually ended up having some state come down and help me. We went back over 5 years and found out they had over 5 years of unenforced violations. Plus, they had damaged 66 manholes from their facility to our sewer plant. And they were pretty beat up. They were really corroded. So what happened is that we collected all the data, and we issued a compliance order against the industry. They were not happy, especially with the price tag of almost $2 million that was attached to this penalty. There was a lot of litigation. It went on for just about 18 months. Long story short, they didn't pay the whole fine, but they did pay for all the manholes to be replaced. It took a long time for me in the industry to have a good working relationship. I guess if some new person comes in and gives you almost a $2 million fine, you're probably not going to be their favorite person. And I was not their favorite person. We're on really good terms now. Every time they have even a hiccup at their plant, I get a phone call. I get an email. I even will get a visit if I'm not responding to them fast enough. It makes it nice that we're on the same page. There was a lot of ups and downs, but the thing is enforcement. It's not an easy task to go about, but when you have an industry that does do a violation, it may look like the big bad guy, but in the end, if you do some education, you get all your facts straight, you show all your documentation, you can do the enforcement on the industry. Another thing is finding new industrial users. A lot of people use different ways to find them. Driving around town is always one, looking through your phone book, looking at Google, looking at business licenses. Some of the ways that we found to my industries is our building permit, our building inspector, sorry. He called me up and said, hey, did you know this industry has a kitchen and a little restaurant they installed? And I said, I had no idea. So we went in there. They didn't only have a restaurant. They had, it ended up being 2 categorical processes and 1 significant process. They ended up with a 0 discharge for the 2 categorical, and then they have a discharge permit for the significant. So they have 3 outfalls inside their permit. That wasn't a pretty one either at first. They fought pretty hard because they said, well, this city over here, they didn't make us do anything. All we had to do is test our pH, and they thought that was fine. So I'm sorry. You're not in that place anymore. You're in Payson. We go by these rules. These are what we have to go by. It was a hit and miss for a while. We both educated ourselves of what needs to be done and a good working relationship. Another way that we found one is that our sewer line got clogged. The guys were out there cleaning the line. They called me and said, hey, this line is pretty clogged and don't know exactly where it's coming from. We pulled 2 manholes and then found out that it was this industry because there's the beginning of the line and then it goes around and turns on a 90 degrees. So there's a first and a discharge bin, and it was pretty solid. It was not a fun task for the guys to clean it. Not only did we bill them for the services to clean the line, they ended up getting a permit. They're watched very carefully. They have to sample monthly. They have to clean out their settling tank. There's a lot of things that have to go on. But we have a good working relationship because now we're both educated. So another thing is when the grease removal device isn't maintained. When I first started doing pre-treatment, we went off to all the food establishments and grocery stores. that we could find in the city and notify them, hey, we just want to know what you have, Well, we went back to one of these facilities, and they had never cleaned their grease interceptor since the time it was installed. It was all the way up to the top. It was so hard you could stand on it. So they had a waste hauler out there. He was out there. He was chiseling that thing really hard, trying to get it break up so he could actually clean it. It took him 3 days, 8-hour days, to clean it. They knew they had a grease interceptor, but they had no idea what they're supposed to do with it. Now they're on a regular cleaning schedule to clean it. Then you have the ones that they know that they installed it, they just don't want to clean it. So you find the grease in the sewer lines, which I'm sure plenty of you have seen. It's not always fun to see all that coming out of it. A lot of relying from a business. Sometimes they'll fight tooth and nail trying to get it clean. That's costing them money. They use all types of excuses, and sometimes they'll even use the excuse, I can't understand you because I don't speak English. But finally, they'll get to their heads with this big yellow piece of paper handed to them and says, you're cleaning this, I'm going to go turn off your water. Which is nice that you work for a city. You say, I can easily call up a member of our water department and turn off your water, and then you're out of business anyway. You better get this clean. So I usually know I can give them a week. If they're being a real pain in the butt, I give them 24 hours and say, okay, if it's not clean, I will have somebody from the water department can turn off your water. Some of the ones I had trouble with, they are on a regular schedule now. They're between peer pressure from their neighbors and the peer pressure from the collection lines trying to get them to clean out those interceptors. They are complying. So I'm slowly working out all the little bugs of the people, trying to get everybody to be on the same page. Like I said, education is crucial to get information out to the industrial users, the food establishments. I have looks like I forgot that, but that's okay. Just like I showed you, I have a permit packet I give them with all the information. I give them stuff at their inspections. I give them the packets when I do the traffic grease interceptor inspections, just so they have all the information. We also put it online on our city webpage. And then another thing I feel like is important to give education is educating the public. We have information on our website about that. We give tours when they have open houses for our city council. We have that stuff out. We put it on social media. There's a lot of different ways that we give out information, like those little handout things. We do give those out. When we do tours, we give out a bunch of different things. When the school kids come out in big groups, we give out just the do's and don'ts of why you shouldn't put grease down the drain. The fun facts about the water cycle. We even do little magnets so that everybody can, all the kids will take a magnet on their fridge so they can remind their parents. We always ask the kids for help of how they can help us, make sure your friends aren't putting sticks or rocks or anything down your manholes. Make sure you guys are listening up and seeing anything in there. If you see anything, give us a call. We have our number on there. And then always a fun thing is when you have little gadgets like that and you do a tour, that's something they're going to take home and remember. Oh, those people down the sewer plant, or those people part of that we were going to have a tour with, they were really good. Look what they gave us. I can always remember what they told me to do. So the last part is the keys to pretreatment, and these are my thoughts on the keys of pretreatment, is documentation. If you don't document what you've done, it is though it never happened. That is one of the first things I learned in pretreatment. If it's not documented, how can you prove that it was actually done? That even means a phone call, anything. And although you may document it, it's not good to just go stick it in a pile of paper that you have inside your desk. You need to have it organized. The worst thing is when I took over Pretreatment and everything was just in boxes and file folders and cabinets all over the place, nothing was organized. If you keep yourself organized, it makes it so much easier because then you can have anybody can come in and see your stuff. You don't have to guess, well, what did I do with that inspection, or where's those sampling results? If you can just put everything together, I put all my stuff for my industrial users for their permit. It's all in a binder. It's all separated by what it is. It's the permit, if it's their sampling data, if it's my inspection, or all their correspondence stuff, all organized and put into there. And then communication is always key. I like to leave the communication open with my industrial users, my food establishments. I tell them call me anytime they have a problem. It's working out pretty well for us. And then another thing is that you need to get training. There's lots of different types of training you can get. WAU has training they put on. I have a piece of paper up here for the next one that they're putting on. It's September 14th. It's actually free. Usually WAU charges for their training, but this one's free. If anybody, and you want to go to it, or anybody that you know in your entity would like to go to it, the information is up here. And then always keep up with new regulations. The newest one is the dental maximum rule. I think it, I think it's a stupid rule. That's just me. If you agree with me, you should get a prize just for agreeing with me on that one. I think it's really just a stupid rule. It's already causing a lot of this heartache. And dentists already have their shops up. They haven't really started. Now we're arguing back and forth. It's not a pretty sight. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, or if you ever need to contact me, here's my contact information. I'm more than willing to help you, or if I don't know the answer, I'm willing to direct you to somebody that does. Because in our group of the pretreatment coordinators and inspectors, we're a pretty close-knit group, and we are willing to help out any one of our peers to figure out something. So is there any questions? Does anybody want another little gadget just thrown out? And then if you guys want to, I'll leave these up here. You guys can take one of these things if you want. The training, any of the stuff that we hand out, you guys are more than welcome to take a copy and have it for yourself as well. So.
Thank you, Sarah. Great job today.